Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in that state of mind when you're doing something creative that is so interesting, so captivating that you lose all sense of time? You don't get hungry. You don't get tired. You're so into the thing that you're doing that when you glance up at the clock, it's already 4 o'clock in the morning. Wow, where did all the time go? I've been doing this for 12 hours. I'm sure that you have felt that way. And that, my friend, is the zone. The zone is a mental state of focused concentration where everything else in the environment becomes irrelevant. Psychologists have another word for it. They call it a state of flow. Flow, to be in the zone, it's the same thing. Now, what has this got to do with learning English, a language, or anything else for that matter? A lot. To find out more, stay tuned. Hello and welcome to Let Them Talk. And I'm sure you've experienced being in a state of flow. Some people get there when they are learning a musical instrument or playing a video game or programming or writing poetry or hopefully, in your case, learning a language, which is what I'm going to talk about today. Let me give you some background. Please stick with me because knowing the psychology is important here. It was the Hungarian psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi who studied this phenomenon extensively in his book Flow. Here it is, and I'll leave a link in the description for the book if you want to read it in its entirety, which I highly recommend that you do. In the book, he shows us the state of flow is very much linked to enjoyment, with some other important elements thrown in that ensure our progress, and we'll look at that in a moment. Now, Csikszentmihalyi looked at flow in a lot of different areas, including science. Now, scientific breakthroughs and discoveries would not have been possible if scientists did not enjoy their work. In the book, he says that the amount of funding given to a laboratory was far less important in getting results than enjoyment. Having the right conditions for a creative environment was a more important factor than money. The best musicians are motivated by enjoyment, not money. Great singer-songwriters are motivated by enjoyment, not by the prospect of winning the Nobel Prize for literature. Now, this is an important lesson because it shows us clearly that we need enjoyment to succeed at our task. If you want to learn anything, not just English, but anything, if you can get yourself into a state of flow while doing it, it just got much easier. If what you're trying to learn is boring, but you force yourself to continue, it's going to be a whole lot more difficult. The reason why people fail at learning English or any language is because they don't consistently and regularly reach this state of flow. The language industry is a bit like the dieting industry in that it's based on failure. It's like a triangle with a vast majority of people at the bottom and a small number at the top who reach an advanced level. So a big chunk of people who start to learn very little or almost nothing. And my job as an English teacher is to get you to continue studying so that you rise above the big block of beginners who've given up at the bottom of the triangle and reach that advanced level. Now, two incontrovertible truths about language learning. The first one is it takes time. To have a reasonable conversational level, it takes about 1,000 hours. To master a language so that you can say that you're fluent and you're comfortable in any situation and you can understand more or less everything and express yourself without searching for the right word, takes approximately 10,000 hours. That's about 10 years of study. how I learned Italian in 1 month and how you can do it too. If you learn this English method, you can learn English perfectly in, 3 months. Anyone who says these things is lying to you. They are all trying to tell you the same thing. You've tried lots of methods and you've failed miserably, but we have a secret method that really works. Give us X amount of money and we'll tell you the secrets. Let me tell you the secret. There is no secret method. Now, the second incontrovertible truth in succeeding in learning a language is coming back to the state of flow. People who succeed is because they get into the state of flow again and again and again. In short, if you don't get into the zone, you won't succeed. And I'm sure that anybody watching this video who has successfully learned a foreign language as an adult will tell you that it was hard work, but they enjoyed it. There is no silver bullet. It's all about hard work and finding the pleasure in learning. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, teacher, how do I reach this state of flow? That's not such an easy question to answer because everyone is different. What works for me might not work for you, but I'll try as much as possible to answer the question. So first of all, you do need to practice the 4 basic skills. You need to read, write, listen, and speak. Rules. Read, write, listen, and speak, okay? And you do that as much as possible. This is not, by the way, a revolutionary method. Every language teacher will tell you the same thing. But how you do it is important. You need to make sure that each of these 4 things is undertaken using the flow method. One of the elements of flow is that the difficulty of the task should provide the right degree of challenge to your ability. What this means is that when you are reading, if the material is far too difficult for you, you're going to give up and do something else. If the material is far too easy, you're going to give up and do something else. So when choosing something to read, pick something that is just a little bit above your capability. So you're learning from material that you feel that with a little extra effort you can do it. It's difficult, but you can do it. Also, read things that you would also read in your own language. Someone once advised me when I was learning Spanish that I should read children's books because they are much easier. Finally, this was bad advice because I don't normally read children's books and I soon got bored. What I preferred when I still had a very low level of Spanish was to read short articles from newspapers, which I found interesting, which what I would do in English too. Anyway, that's just me. Find the things that you enjoy and stick with that. With listening, it's the same idea. Listen to things that are challenging but interesting, where you'll learn a lot of new words, but it's not so complicated that you have to stop every 2 seconds and consult the dictionary. YouTube is a great resource. Start off by watching a video in the language that you are learning with subtitles. Make a note of the words you don't know. Watch it again without subtitles. With speaking, seek out good conversations with smart people. If you're speaking to native speakers or advanced speakers, ask them to correct you. This is an important part of the flow system. You should be getting regular feedback, which enables you to correct mistakes and improve. If you don't have the opportunity to speak with anybody, then speak to yourself or read aloud. This will at least get the mechanics in your brain processing and familiarizing yourself to the new language, and it'll help later when you get to have quality conversations. Now, writing is often neglected, but believe me, it does help. Writing slows you down. You need to consider every word and check the grammar. That's very important for learning a language, so do it. If you have friends who know English or the language you are learning well, then write them emails and once again ask them to correct it. If you're working alone, then what you could do is write a sentence in your language, translate it into the target language yourself, then use Google Translate to translate it, and then compare the two. Okay, Google Translate, of course, is not perfect, but it's a good starting point. What about grammar? Yes, you do need to learn grammar, but this is a difficult one. Personally, I love grammar. I love spending my free time reading grammar books, and I like to see how the pieces of the language fit together and how the logic of one language is different to another. But that's just me. I'm a bit weird, but many people hate grammar. But I think often the way grammar is taught is boring, not the grammar itself. Like everything else, if it can be explained in an interesting way, then it's a different story. Another rule about reaching the state of flow is that you must have clear and realistic goals. Clear and realistic goals. If you are learning English, don't think, I want to be able to understand all the Netflix shows in English within 6 months, and you're a beginner. No, these abstract long-term objectives are pointless. It's like saying, I'm going to become a millionaire and buy a yacht. It's your dream, but don't think it and promise it. Instead, make small everyday steps to reach your target. When you're learning a language, you could say to yourself, by the end of the day, I will have learned 10 new words, a new grammar point, and I'll learn one idiom. I'll also have at least one conversation. So that's realistic, that's doable. So aim for small incremental steps rather than meaningless long-term ones that you'll never achieve. Returning to what I said earlier, I don't know how you will get into this state of flow. That's up to you. Everyone is different. The important thing is that you must make language learning enjoyable. If it's enjoyable, you will continue. Now, one of the elements of flow is the feeling that you are in control. If you are blindly following a textbook or an online platform or whatever, this probably won't be enjoyable. So you need to take control of the learning process and do the things that work for you and your rhythm with a sense of purpose. Don't let any teacher or any language school or any platform or app tell you that they have the best method. They don't. You have the best method. It's you who engineer that success. You know, they talk about two types of happiness. The first is hedonistic happiness, that rush you get when you buy something new. You buy a Ferrari, or your football team wins, or you eat a piece of chocolate cake, and that gives you a little bit of pleasure in that moment. The problem is with this type of happiness is it is short-lived. So what? You've got a new Ferrari, okay, for a few moments you're elated, but then reality sets in. You still got to deal with your relationships. You still have to wash your socks and mow the lawn. The other state of happiness is called eudaimonic, which comes from the Greek, and it means something like human flourishing. And this is more of a long-term happiness, where we focus on getting attached to the things that motivate behavior. The state of flow is intrinsically linked to eudaimonic happiness. Doing the things that are creative and stimulate your mind, and now get as much of that into your life. So creativity is happiness. The goal of flow is not to reach a peak and come down. The goal is to reach flow and continue and continue and continue. And you will have to restructure the tasks that you do to make this happen. So don't listen to those who say that they have a magic formula. Bullshit. Frankly, everyone is unique. You are unique. But if you want to get beyond the big base at the bottom of the triangle that I talked about, then find the things that you love, find the things that resonate with your personality, find the things that make you want to come back for more, and integrate it into your language learning. And do that today and the next day and the next day, and yeah, you'll make it. You'll get there. So, question for you: are you learning English or another language, and how do you get into the zone? Okay, we'd love to hear your stories. Please share them in the comments. Thank you for watching. Stay healthy, and see you next time. Bye.